General Thex sat in his office aboard the Galactic Military Command Station, reviewing Dr. Vellen's report for the third time. The amphibian general's skin changed color slightly, a sign of his discomfort. He had served in the Galactic Defense Forces for 40 years, and nothing in his experience had prepared him for this information. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me Dr. Vellen and the human medical staff. I need a demonstration." 2 days later, Dr. Vellen found himself in a military medical facility with General Thex, several military advisors, and 2 humans. Dr. Yoon Hana was a trauma specialist who had worked in Earth's emergency rooms for 15 years. Co. Kangman was a combat medic who had served in human military operations before joining the space program. "Thank you for coming," General Thex said. His translator made his voice sound formal and serious. "Dr. Vellen's report has raised questions within the military command. We need to understand human medical capabilities, particularly in combat situations." Dr. Hana nodded. "What would you like to know?" "Your report states that humans can survive blood loss up to 40%, General Thex said. "This seems impossible. Most species suffer shock and organ failure at 20% loss. Can you explain?" Kangmin stepped forward. "General, I have seen soldiers survive injuries that would kill others instantly. Humans have what we call a fight or flight response. When injured, our bodies release chemicals that increase heart rate, improve blood flow to vital organs, and reduce pain sensation. This allows us to keep fighting even when badly hurt." "Show me," General Thex said. Dr. Hana pulled up holographic displays showing human medical cases. "This patient lost 35% of his blood in a vehicle accident. We gave him transfusions and fluids. He survived and made a full recovery within 2 months." One of the military advisors, a thin insectoid named Commander Zek, clicked in disbelief. 2 months? Our species would take a year to recover from that, if we survived at all. "Human healing is accelerated by several factors," Dr. Hana explained. "Our bodies produce new blood cells quickly. Our immune systems are very aggressive at fighting infection, and we have high pain tolerance, which allows us to remain functional during healing." "What about structural damage?" General Thex asked. "Broken bones, torn muscles." Kangman brought up his own medical records. "I broke 3 ribs in my left arm during a training accident. I was back on active duty in 6 weeks. Humans break bones and recover all the time. Our bones actually heal stronger than before." Dr. Vellen, who had been watching quietly, added his own observations. "General, I have been studying humans for weeks now. Their healing abilities are remarkable. Small cuts close within days. Bruises fade within a week. Even serious wounds show improvement much faster than expected." "This is concerning," General Thex said bluntly. "You are describing a species that is very difficult to stop in combat." "That is not our intention," Dr. Hana said quickly. "We are doctors. We save lives, we do not take them." "I understand," General Thex said, "but you must understand my perspective. Military command needs to know the capabilities of all council species. If humans are this resilient as civilians, what are human soldiers capable of?" Kangman and Dr. Hana exchanged glances. Finally, Kangman spoke. "General, with respect, you are asking the wrong question. Yes, humans are hard to kill, but that is not what makes us effective soldiers." "Then what does?" Commander Zek asked. "Our ability to make decisions under pressure," Kangman said. "Human soldiers are trained to think, adapt, and overcome. We do not give up. When a plan fails, we make a new plan. When equipment breaks, we improvise. When injured, we keep fighting. It is not about being physically tough. It is about being mentally tough." General Thex stood and paced around the room. "I need to see a practical demonstration." "Can you show us human battlefield medicine?" Dr. Hana considered this. "We can show you our techniques, but I want to be clear. Human medicine developed because Earth is dangerous. We had to learn to treat injuries quickly, with limited resources and hostile environments. What seems brutal to you is just normal emergency care for us." "I understand," General Thex said. "Proceed." Dr. Hana and Kangman spent the next 2 hours demonstrating human medical techniques. They showed how to stop severe bleeding with pressure and improvised tourniquets. They demonstrated chest compressions for heart failure, pushing down hard enough to crack ribs if necessary. They explained how humans could perform surgery with basic tools in field conditions. The alien observers watched with a mixture of fascination and horror. What humans considered standard emergency care looked violent and aggressive to them. "You push on the chest that hard?" Commander Zek asked when they demonstrated CPR. That would crush our thorax. Human ribs are strong, Dr. Hanna explained. They can handle the pressure. And broken ribs are better than death. General Thex studied the demonstrations carefully. After the presentation ended, he dismissed everyone except Dr. Velen. The two of them sat alone in the briefing room. Doctor, I need your honest assessment, General Thex said. How dangerous are humans? Dr. Velen thought carefully before answering. General, humans are dangerous the way any survivor is dangerous. They do not start fights, but they are very hard to stop once a fight starts. Their bodies are designed to keep functioning under extreme stress. Their minds are trained to never give up, and they work together very effectively. That is what worries me, General Thex admitted. A species that refuses to give up, that heals quickly, that thinks clearly under pressure, and that cooperates well. In military terms, that is the perfect soldier. But they are not just soldiers, Dr. Velen said firmly. I have spent weeks with humans now. Yes, they are tough. Yes, they are resilient. But they are also kind. They care about others. Every human doctor I have met wants to heal, not harm. Every human soldier I have talked to says they fight to protect, not to conquer. General Thex's skin rippled, showing his thoughtfulness. You trust them. I do, Dr. Velen said. General, Earth made humans strong because it had to, but it also taught them the value of cooperation and compassion. They survived by working together, by taking care of their injured, by building communities. Their strength is not a threat to the Council. It is an asset. I hope you are right, General Thex said quietly. A week later, General Thex presented his findings to the Galactic Military Council. His report was straightforward and honest. Humans were indeed remarkably resilient and difficult to stop in combat, but they also showed no signs of aggression toward Council species. Their military doctrine was defensive, focused on protecting their people and their allies. My recommendation is that we welcome human participation in Council defense forces, General Thex concluded. Their unique abilities would make them valuable in rescue operations, hazardous environment work, and emergency response. We should not fear human strength. We should learn to work with it. The Council debated for hours but ultimately agreed. Humans would be integrated into military operations with special training protocols developed to account for their unique biology. Back on the Unity, Captain Hiejin received the news with satisfaction. She called Dr. Velen to her office to thank him. You have done more for human integration than any diplomat, she said. By showing the Council who we really are, you have opened doors for cooperation. Dr. Velen's ears twitched with pleasure at the compliment. I only reported what I observed, Captain. Your species is remarkable. We are survivors, Hiejin said simply. Earth taught us to be tough, but it also taught us to value life. We will never forget that lesson. As Dr. Velen left the captain's office, he reflected on how much had changed in just a few weeks. He had started this research thinking humans were just another species with some unusual traits. Now he understood they were something unprecedented in the galaxy, not better than other species, but different in fundamental ways. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to have humans as members of the Council. Dr. Velen had a feeling it would be an interesting journey. Outside the viewports, stars streaked past as the Unity continued its mission. Somewhere on that ship, humans were drinking coffee, exercising in high gravity, eating spicy food, and doing all the things that would kill most other species. And they were doing it with smiles on their faces, completely unaware of how extraordinary they were. Dr. Velen smiled to himself. He had always loved learning new things. And humans, he had discovered, were the most educational species in the entire galaxy. The medical community would be studying human biology for generations to come. And Dr. Velen would be at the forefront of that research, documenting every new discovery, every impossible feat, every example of human resilience. It was, he thought, going to be a wonderful career. The Galactic Medical Council chamber was packed. Representatives from 40 different species had gathered to hear Dr. Velen's presentation about human biology. The news had spread quickly through the medical community, and everyone wanted to understand these strange new creatures that had joined the Council. Dr. Velen stood at the front of the chamber, his presentation displayed on a massive holographic screen behind him. Beside him stood Professor Kim Nari, a human xenobiologist who had been invited to provide context and answer questions. Thank you all for coming, Dr. Velen began. 6 months ago, humans joined our council. We welcomed them as we would any new member species. But in the past weeks, my research team has made discoveries that challenge our understanding of what is biologically possible. He pressed a button, and images appeared on the screen. Medical scans, charts, and data scrolled past. Humans regularly consume substances that are lethal to other species. They survive environmental conditions that would kill most of us within hours. They can lose amounts of blood that would be fatal to others and recover within days. They are, by any standard measure, biological impossibilities. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Counselor Breck, a large reptilian from a desert world, stood up. Dr. Velen, with respect, are you suggesting these humans are somehow superior to other council species? Not superior, Dr. Velen corrected. Different. Extremely different. Professor Nari has agreed to explain why. Professor? Nari stepped forward. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but when she spoke, her voice carried authority. Thank you, Dr. Velen. I understand that human biology seems strange to many of you. The truth is we are strange, but there is a reason for it. To understand humans, you must understand Earth. She gestured, and the image changed to show a blue and green planet. This is our home world. It is a beautiful place, but it is also one of the most dangerous planets in this sector of the galaxy. The image zoomed in to show Earth's surface. Mountains, oceans, deserts, and forests appeared. Earth is classified as a Class 12 hazard world. The gravity is 1.3 times what most council species consider comfortable. The temperature swings from -40 degrees at the poles to +50 degrees at the equator. Violent storms ravage the surface regularly. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis are common. Counselor Breck sat down slowly. Other council members leaned forward, paying close attention. But the environmental dangers are not the worst part, Nari continued. Earth's ecosystem is highly competitive. Every living thing on our planet is trying to survive by eating something else or avoiding being eaten. Plants develop toxins to protect themselves. Animals developed venom, claws, and teeth. Everything on Earth is armed in some way. She changed the image to show various Earth animals. A lion with massive fangs, a snake with deadly venom, a spider with a poisonous bite. Humans evolved alongside these creatures. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or armor or venom, so we developed something else. The image changed to show a human brain. We became intelligent. But intelligence alone was not enough. We also had to become tough, adaptable, resilient. Humans who could not handle heat died in summer. Humans who could not handle cold died in winter. Humans who could not process the toxins in plants starved. Over millions of years, only the most resilient humans survived to have children. Jung Do-hyun, a human pilot, stood from his seat in the audience. Captain Hyajin had sent him to provide additional perspective. May I add something, Professor? Of course, Nari said. Do-hyun walked to the front of the chamber. He was tall and carried himself like a soldier. I served in Earth's military before joining the space program. During my training, we were taught to survive in every environment on Earth. Desert, jungle, Arctic, ocean. We learned to find food and water anywhere. We learned to treat injuries with whatever materials we could find. We learned to function on little sleep, little food, and under extreme stress. He looked around at the assembled aliens, and that was just training. Human history is full of real survival stories. People who fell into freezing water and survived. People who went days without water in the desert and lived. People who were trapped under collapsed buildings and held on until rescue came. We are survivors because Earth gave us no choice. Survive or die. The chamber was completely silent now. Every eye was on the humans. Professor Nari spoke again. Earth did not make humans strong because we are special. Earth made us strong because it had to. The weak died. The slow died. The ones who could not adapt died. What you see when you look at humans is millions of years of brutal natural selection. She pulled up another image. This one showed human population distribution across Earth. We live in the hottest deserts and the coldest tundras. We live on mountains higher than most species can breathe. We live on islands surrounded by dangerous oceans. We live in jungles full of diseases and predators. We live everywhere because we can adapt to anywhere. Counselor Breck stood again. Professor Nari, this is troubling information. You are describing a species designed for survival at any cost. Should the Council be concerned about human aggression? Nari smiled gently. Counselor, Earth's environment made us tough, yes, but it also made us cooperative. Humans survived because we worked together. We formed families, tribes, communities, and nations. We learned that cooperation was stronger than competition. Yes, we fought wars. Yes, we made mistakes. But we also built hospitals to heal the sick. We created laws to protect the weak. We developed art and music and literature. Being from a harsh world did not make us cruel. It made us appreciate peace and cooperation even more. Do-hyun nodded in agreement. Humans do not want to fight. We have seen enough fighting on Earth. We joined the Galactic Council because we want to explore, learn, and build something better. The strength we have, the resilience that Dr. Velen has documented, we want to use it to help others. Dr. Ixion stood from his seat among the council members. I have a question for Dr. Velen. How does this affect medical treatment for humans serving alongside other species? Dr. Velen stepped forward again. That is an excellent question. Standard galactic medical protocols are not suitable for humans. Their bodies are too different. However, this works both ways. Studying human resilience has already led to breakthroughs in our understanding of healing and recovery. Human medical practices, when carefully adapted, may help us treat conditions we thought were hopeless. Professor Nari added, We are very willing to share our medical knowledge. Human doctors have experience treating trauma, disease, and injury that most species never encounter. We can teach you what we have learned from surviving Earth. The presentation continued for another hour. Dr. Velen showed more data. Professor Nari answered questions. Do-hyun shared stories from human history. By the end, the entire council had a new understanding of humanity. As the meeting concluded, Counselor Breck approached the humans. Professor Nari, I must admit I am both impressed and somewhat frightened by what you have shared today. That is understandable, Nari said kindly. But please remember, we are not trying to frighten anyone. We just want you to understand us. I think I do now, Breck said. You are survivors. And perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs. That evening, Dr. Velen sat in his office on the Unity, reviewing the day's events. His report to the council had been successful. They now understood that humans were not just another species. They were something unique, forged in the fires of a death world. But Dr. Velen knew this was not the end of the discoveries. It was just the beginning. As humans integrated more deeply into galactic society, there would be more surprises, more revelations. He looked at his schedule for tomorrow. He was supposed to observe human combat training exercises. He had a feeling that would be very educational indeed. Outside his window, Earth hung in the distance, a blue marble against the black of space. A beautiful, deadly, wonderful death world that had produced the most resilient species in the galaxy. Dr. Velen wondered what other secrets it held. Dr. Velen had assembled a small research team for what he called the Human Observation Project. Besides himself and Nurse Teelith, he had recruited Dr. Ixion, an insectoid medical researcher who specialized in biochemistry. Ixion looked like a giant mantis with 4 arms and large compound eyes that could see in multiple spectrums. I still think you are overreacting. Ixion clicked through his translator. So humans process some chemicals differently. This is not unprecedented. Just wait, Dr. Velen said. You will see. They started their observations in the recreation area that evening. Several human crew members had gathered there after their shifts. One of them was Choi Taeyang, a security officer known for being friendly and relaxed. He sat at a table with 2 other humans, and in front of him were 3 glasses filled with amber liquid. What is he drinking? Ixion asked. Dr. Velen scanned the liquid with his medical scanner. The device beeped and he read the results with growing concern. Ethanol, approximately 40% concentration. Ixion's antennae quivered. That is industrial solvent. We use that concentration for cleaning medical equipment. Watch, Dr. Velen said quietly. They observed as Taeyang picked up 1 glass and drank the entire contents in one smooth motion. He set the empty glass down and smiled at his companions. That is good whiskey, he said. Then he picked up the second glass and drank that one too. Tillith clutched Dr. Velen's arm. Why is he not dead? Because he is human, Dr. Velen said. He had seen this before during his observations, but it still amazed him. Ixion scuttled closer, his scanner pointed at Taeyang. His liver enzymes are working at incredible speed. He is breaking down the ethanol almost as fast as he drinks it. The insectoid doctor turned to look at Dr. Velen. You were right. This is extraordinary. Over the next hour, Taeyang consumed 5 glasses of the strong alcohol. He became more talkative and laughed more easily, but he remained perfectly conscious and in control. When he finally stood to leave, he walked in a straight line with only the slightest wobble. On my world, that amount of ethanol would kill 5 Ixians, Dr. Ixian said quietly, and he is just using it for relaxation. Keep watching, Dr. Velen said. The evening is young. They moved to the ship's gym next. On Somin, a human biochemist was exercising on one of the machines, but she was not using the standard settings. Dr. Velen's scanner showed that the gravity in her section of the gym had been increased. She is training in 1.3 times normal ship gravity, Tillith observed. That must be crushing her. But Somin showed no signs of distress. She lifted weights that would have been impossible for Dr. Velen to even move. Her muscles flexed and worked under the increased gravity as if it were nothing special. Sweat covered her skin, but she was smiling. This is their standard exercise? Ixian asked in disbelief. According to my research, yes, Dr. Velen said. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world. This is normal for them. After her workout, Somin went to the cafeteria. The research team followed, curious about what she would eat. They watched as she prepared her meal. She added a red sauce to her food that made Dr. Velen's scanner alarm go off. Capsaicin detected, the scanner announced. Warning, irritant compound. Concentration, severe. Somin sat down and began eating. Within seconds, her face turned red. Her eyes watered. She reached for her water glass and drank deeply. She is having a reaction. Tillith started forward. We need to help her. But Dr. Velen held her back. Wait, look. Despite the obvious physical reaction, Somin was smiling. She took another bite of her food and her eyes watered more, but she made a happy sound. This is so good, she said to herself. I love spicy food. She is eating poison, Ixian said flatly. For pleasure. Capsaicin is a defense mechanism that plants evolved to avoid being eaten, Dr. Velen explained. It causes pain in most species. But humans? They enjoy it. They deliberately seek out the most painful varieties and eat them. The 3 alien doctors watched in fascination and horror as Somin finished her entire meal. When she was done, she wiped her eyes and sighed with satisfaction. I need to update my reports, Dr. Ixian said. The council will never believe this. Over the next week, the research team documented dozens of examples of human resilience. They watched Kang Minho work in the engine room, exposed to radiation levels that would have required protective equipment for any other species. Minho wore only his standard uniform. They observed Li Jiwu work through the night without sleep, remaining alert and functional for over 24 hours. They documented humans exercising until their muscles ached, then exercising more the next day. But the most shocking discovery came when they accessed the human medical database. Dr. Velen had requested permission to review human medical history, and Captain Heejin had approved. The 3 alien doctors sat in Dr. Velen's office, reading through the files on his holographic display. None of them spoke for a long time. They survived temperatures from -40 to +50 degrees. Tillith read aloud. That is a range of 90 degrees. My species can only survive a range of 20 degrees, Dr. Velen said quietly. Ixian pulled up another file. Look at this. Human blood can survive up to 40% loss before the human becomes critical. Most species die at 20% loss, and they can regenerate the lost blood, Tillith added. Within days, not weeks. Dr. Velen opened a file about human history. They survived plagues that killed millions of their own kind. Diseases that should have destroyed their entire civilization. But they adapted. They developed immunity. They survived. They fought wars, Ixian read from another file. Not with technology at first, but with their own bodies. Hand-to-hand combat. They would damage each other severely and then heal and fight again. Look at their geographical distribution, Dr. Velen said. He pulled up a map of Earth. They live everywhere. Frozen Arctic regions, burning deserts, dense jungles, high mountains, deep valleys. They adapted to every environment on their planet. The 3 doctors sat in silence, absorbing this information. Finally, Ixian spoke. Dr. Velen, I think we need to reassess our initial assumption. What assumption? Tillith asked. We assumed humans were a normal species with some unusual characteristics, Ixian explained. But I do not think that is correct. I think humans are something we have never encountered before, a species that evolved to survive everything their planet could throw at them. Dr. Velen pulled up Earth's planetary data. The numbers made his fur stand on end. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, intense solar radiation, tectonically active surface with frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, violent weather systems, abundance of toxic plant and animal life. What is Earth's classification? Tillith asked nervously. Dr. Velen checked the database. His paws froze on the keyboard. Class 12. Hazard world. Unsuitable for colonization by most council species without extensive environmental modification. The room went silent. They evolved on a death world, Ixion whispered. That explains everything. Dr. Velen stood and paced around his office. His tail lashed behind him in agitation. Do you understand what this means? Humans are not just resilient. They are survival machines. Every system in their body is designed to handle extreme stress. They do not just survive hostile environments. They thrive in them. We need to report this to the council immediately, Tillith said. They need to know what humans really are. Agreed, Dr. Velen said. He sat down at his computer and began composing a message. But his paws trembled as he typed. For the first time since meeting humans, he felt something he had not expected to feel. Not exactly fear, but something close to it. Respect mixed with caution. Humans were not the friendly, weak species they appeared to be. They were apex survivors from a world that tried to kill them every day, and now they were part of the Galactic Council. Dr. Velen wondered what that would mean for the galaxy. 3 days after the incident with Minho, Dr. Velen had convinced himself that the painkiller situation was just an unusual case. Perhaps humans had strong livers, but that was probably where the differences ended. He was reviewing medical files in his office when Nurse Tillith rushed through the door. Tillith was an avian, covered in sleek blue feathers with large eyes and a sharp beak. She was normally calm and professional, but now her feathers were ruffled with alarm. Doctor, emergency in the cafeteria. A human is consuming a lethal stimulant, she chirped urgently. Dr. Velen jumped to his feet and grabbed his medical kit. Show me. They ran through the corridors to the cafeteria. Dr. Velen expected to find chaos, maybe a human collapsed on the floor, perhaps other crew members trying to help. Instead, he found a perfectly calm scene. Human crew members sat at tables eating breakfast. Alien crew members sat at other tables eating their own meals. Everything looked completely normal. Where is the emergency? Dr. Velen demanded. Tillith pointed with one wing toward a table by the window. There, that human engineer. Dr. Velen followed her gesture and saw Park Ji-ho, a human engineer he had seen around the ship. Ji-ho sat alone at a table reading something on his datapad. In front of him sat a large mug filled with dark liquid. Steam rose from the cup. What is the problem? Dr. Velen asked, confused. I scanned his drink, Tillith said, holding up her medical scanner. Doctor, that beverage contains over 400 milligrams of caffeine. That is enough to kill an avian. His heart should have exploded by now. Dr. Velen's eyes widened. He turned on his own scanner and pointed it at Ji-ho's cup. The readings confirmed what Tillith had said. 420 milligrams of caffeine, to be exact. By all the stars, Dr. Velen breathed. He walked quickly toward Ji-ho's table. Excuse me. Do not drink that. Ji-ho looked up from his datapad, surprised. He had the cup halfway to his lips. What? Why not?
That drink contains a lethal dose of stimulant,
Dr. Velen said. Please put it down carefully. We need to get you to medical immediately. Ji-ho looked at his cup, then back at Dr. Velen. You mean my coffee? If that is what you call it, yes, Dr. Velen said. You must not drink it. The caffeine content alone could stop your heart. Ji-ho's confused expression slowly changed to understanding. Then he smiled. Oh, Dr. Velen, it is okay. This is just coffee. Humans drink this every day. Every day? Tillith gasped. Impossible. No, really, Ji-ho said. He raised the cup and took a long drink. See? I am fine. Dr. Velen watched in horror as Ji-ho swallowed the supposedly lethal beverage. He held his scanner pointed at the human, waiting for signs of distress. Ji-ho's heart rate increased slightly but stayed within normal range. His blood pressure remained stable. He showed no signs of poisoning at all. This is my third cup today, Ji-ho added casually. I usually have 4 or 5 cups before lunch. Tillith made a choking sound and sat down heavily at the nearest chair. Dr. Velen's mind raced. Third cup? You have already consumed over 1,000 milligrams of caffeine this morning? I guess so, Jiho said with a shrug. I need it to wake up. I am not really functional until I have my coffee. Not functional, Dr. Velen repeated weakly. He sat down across from Jiho. You realize that amount would kill me in minutes? Really? Jiho looked genuinely surprised. Wow, I had no idea. Coffee is just normal for us. Everyone on Earth drinks it. At that moment, Lee Jiwoo entered the cafeteria. She saw Dr. Velen and Teelith sitting with Jiho and walked over. Is everything okay here? Your people drink poison for breakfast, Teelith said faintly. Jiwoo sighed. Let me guess. Someone discovered coffee? How can you be so calm about this? Dr. Velen demanded. Your species consumes deadly stimulants as a morning ritual. It is not deadly to us, Jiwoo explained patiently. She sat down at the table. Humans have been drinking coffee for thousands of years. Our bodies process caffeine very efficiently. Yes, we get more alert and energetic, but it does not harm us. More alert and energetic, Dr. Velen muttered. That is what happens before the heart attack. Not for humans, Jiwoo said. Look around. Half the humans on this ship are drinking coffee right now. Dr. Velen looked around the cafeteria. She was right. At least 15 human crew members held similar cups of the dark liquid. They were laughing, talking, and eating breakfast like it was the most normal thing in the galaxy. I cannot believe this, Dr. Velen said. After the painkiller incident, I thought I understood, but this? You are telling me humans regularly consume stimulants that would be classified as deadly weapons on most council worlds? Basically, yes, Jiho said. He took another sip of his coffee. Although we just call it coffee. Would you like to try some? Absolutely not. Teelith squawked. Dr. Velen held up a hand. Wait, Jiwoo, what are the effects of this caffeine on humans? It helps us wake up, focus better, and feel more energetic, Jiwoo explained. Some people get a little jittery if they drink too much, but that is about it. The effects wear off after a few hours. And there are no long-term health effects? Dr. Velen asked. Not really, Jiwoo said. Some humans drink coffee their entire lives with no problems. Well, some people become dependent on it. They get headaches if they do not have their morning coffee. Withdrawal symptoms, Dr. Velen said. That proves it is a drug. Sure, technically it is a drug, Jiwoo admitted. But a very mild one for humans. Like I said, we have strong livers. Dr. Velen thought about this. Then he made a decision. I need to observe human daily routines more carefully. Clearly, there is much about your species that the medical database does not cover. He looked at Jiho. Would you mind if I followed you during your shift today? I want to document your normal activities. Jiho glanced at Jiwoo, who nodded. Sure, I guess that is fine. I am working on the water recycling systems today. Pretty boring stuff. I am sure I will find it very educational, Dr. Velen said dryly. Within an hour, Dr. Velen had sent an urgent message to the Galactic Medical Council. He attached all his scan data and his observations. The message was simple. Human biology is far more resilient than previously understood. They regularly consume substances that are lethal to other species. Request permission to conduct comprehensive study. The response came back quickly. Permission granted. Observe and document everything. This could change our understanding of what is possible for carbon-based life. By the end of the day, Dr. Velen had watched Jiho drink 2 more cups of coffee, consume something called energy drink that had even more caffeine, and work a full shift without any sign of the stimulants causing harm. If anything, the human seemed more productive with the caffeine in his system. That evening, Dr. Velen sat in his office and updated his reports. He had thought the painkiller incident was unusual. Now he realized it was just the first clue. Humans were not just slightly different from other species. They were dramatically, fundamentally, impossibly different. And he had a growing suspicion that coffee was just the beginning of the revelations to come. Commander Yoon Hyejin, the human captain of the Unity, received a request that evening. Dr. Velen wanted permission to observe human crew members during their off-duty hours. He wanted to document everything about human behavior, diet, and daily habits. Hyejin approved the request immediately. She had a feeling the good doctor was in for quite an education. She was right. Kang Minho pressed 2 fingers against his temple and winced. The headache had started 3 hours ago, right in the middle of his shift monitoring the engine systems. Now it felt like someone was hammering nails into his skull. He had tried to ignore it, but the pain just kept getting worse. You should go to medical, his supervisor had said. We have doctors on board for a reason. Minho had nodded and left his station. The walk to the medical bay took 10 minutes through the gleaming corridors of the Unity, the joint exploration vessel that housed both humans and aliens. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council, and Minho still found it strange to see creatures with fur, feathers, and scales walking beside him. The medical bay doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was bright and clean, filled with equipment that looked like a mix between a hospital and a science fiction movie. Behind the main desk sat Dr. Velen, a Phylixian who looked like a large cat standing on 2 legs. His orange fur was neatly groomed, and his green eyes studied a holographic display floating in front of him. "Can I help you?" Dr. Velen asked. His voice came through a translator device on his collar, turning his natural sounds into perfect English. "I have a headache," Minho said. "It has been bothering me all morning. I was hoping you could give me something for it." Dr. Velen's ears twitched forward. "A headache? Please sit down. Let me examine you." Minho sat on the examination table while Dr. Velen pulled out a scanning device. The doctor waved it over Minho's head, and the device beeped softly. Dr. Velen studied the results on his tablet, his tail swishing behind him. "Yes, I can see increased blood flow to your brain and some tension in your muscles," Dr. Velen said. "This is a common problem. I will give you medication." The doctor walked to a cabinet and pulled out a small bottle. He carefully measured out a single pill and placed it in a small cup. "Here, this will help with your pain." Minho looked at the tiny pill. It was smaller than a grain of rice. "Just one?" "Yes, 1 pill. This is the standard dose for headache pain." Dr. Velen pushed the cup toward him. "Take it with water." Before Minho could respond, the medical bay doors opened again. Li Jiwoo, the human medical liaison officer, walked in carrying a stack of data pads. She was a small woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Good morning, Dr. Velen," she said. Then she noticed Minho. "Oh, Minho? Are you okay?" "Just a headache," Minho replied. "Dr. Velen gave me medicine." Jiwoo walked over and glanced at the pill in the cup. Her eyes went wide. "Wait, Dr. Velen, what dosage is this?" 20 milligrams of Talaxin, Dr. Velen said proudly. "A perfectly safe amount for headache relief." Jiwoo picked up the bottle and read the label. Her face showed concern. "Dr. Velen, this is way too small. Humans usually take about 1,000 milligrams of painkiller for a headache like this." Dr. Velen's fur stood up. 1,000. "That is impossible. That amount would kill most species in the Galactic Council. Are you sure your translation is working?" "I am very sure," Jiwoo said. She pulled out her datapad and showed him the screen. "Look, here is the standard human dosage for common pain medication. We take between 500 and 1,000 milligrams every few hours when needed." The Phylixian doctor stared at the screen. His tail had stopped moving. "This cannot be right. Let me check the medical database." He turned to his computer and typed rapidly. The holographic display showed charts and graphs. Dr. Velen's ears flattened against his head as he read. "The database says that doses above 50 milligrams of Talaxin are fatal to Phylixians," he muttered. "For avians, 30 milligrams. For reptilians, 40 milligrams. He looked up at Jiwoo with shock in his eyes. "You are telling me humans take 20 times this amount?" "For painkiller, yes," Jiwoo confirmed. "Actually, Minho probably takes more than that back home on Earth, right, Minho?" Minho shrugged. "Yeah, I usually take 3 or 4 pills when I have a bad headache. Sometimes more if it is really bad." Dr. Velen sat down heavily in his chair. "By the stars. This is incredible. How are you not dead?" "I feel fine except for the headache," Minho said, confused by the reaction. "No, I mean, how has your entire species not poisoned themselves?" Dr. Velen stood up again and began pacing. "The amount of medication you describe should destroy your liver, shut down your kidneys, and stop your heart within hours." "Well, it does not," Jiwoo said calmly. "Human bodies process medication differently than other species. We have very strong livers and kidneys." Dr. Velen grabbed his tablet and began typing notes furiously. "I need to run tests. Comprehensive metabolic tests. This could be a breakthrough in xenobiology." He looked at Minho with new interest. "Would you allow me to study how your body processes medication?" Minho looked at Jiwoo, who nodded encouragingly. "Sure, I guess." "Will it take long?" "A few hours," Dr. Velen said. "I want to see how your body handles different substances. This is fascinating." In all my years of medical practice, I have never encountered anything like this. Over the next 2 hours, Dr. Velen took blood samples, ran scans, and asked Minho hundreds of questions. Jiwoo stayed to help translate and explain human biology. The more tests Dr. Velen ran, the more amazed he became. Your liver is 3 times more efficient at filtering toxins than a Felixian liver, he said, studying the results. And your kidneys can process waste at an incredible rate. It is like your body is built to handle poison. We do live on Earth, Jiwoo said. Our planet has a lot of natural toxins in plants and animals. Humans had to adapt to survive. Remarkable, Dr. Velen whispered. He gave Minho a proper dose of human-strength painkiller and watched carefully as the human swallowed 4 large pills without any problem. How long until they work? Dr. Velen asked. About 20 minutes, Minho said. Maybe less. Dr. Velen set a timer and continued his tests. True to Minho's word, 20 minutes later the headache had faded to nothing. Minho felt completely normal. No side effects? Dr. Velen asked. Nope, I feel great, Minho said. The Felixian doctor saved all his data and looked at both humans with respect and a little fear. I need to report this to the Galactic Medical Council. They need to know that human medicine is completely different from what we use. If I had given standard treatment to a human patient with a serious condition, I could have made things worse. That is why I am here, Jiwoo said with a smile. To help you understand human needs. Dr. Velen nodded slowly. I think I have much to learn about your species. Very much indeed. As Minho left the medical bay, his headache gone and feeling perfectly fine, Dr. Velen sat at his desk and began writing a report. His paws trembled slightly as he typed. These humans were not like any other species in the galaxy. They were something entirely different, and he had a feeling this was just the beginning of many surprises.